Greetings, Brother Rabbananoon back once again. Um, Finally got my internet on after about 30 days exactly after we got hit with the hurricane. So, just giving a quick brief update. We survived the hurricane. Many of us here in Florida survived with just inconveniences like not having the internet for 30 days. However, others in other parts of the world are struggling a lot. My family in Puerto Rico was in need of supplies and different things like that. Finally heard from them after a few weeks. So it's good to hear that. During this time, there's a lot of things that I learned and realized. I've been exclusively working with Set Satuh, more in the Apep Vampyric aspect of Set Satuh, for the last 30 days. One thing I've learned on the left-hand path is that when you're working with a deity, an archetype, you should give yourself at least 3 months to 6 months to exclusively work with the archetype. Now, I get the question, well, I got an image of another archetype while I was working with this one. True indeed, that happens. But you should stay disciplined and work for 3 months to 6 months with one particular archetype. Log down in your grimoire or your journal what other archetypes showed up in rituals or meditations or things of that nature, so that when you're done with this 3-6 month period, you can switch over to working with those archetypes that you received images or impressions from while working exclusively with one archetype. It will happen that while you're working with certain archetypes, you will get images, messages from your subconscious mind on other archetypes that you should be working with. But you have to learn discipline on the left-hand path. Exclusively on any occult path, you should be very disciplined, because one of the main weaknesses that individuals may have is lack of discipline. They jump from thing to thing and never reap the benefits or rewards of just being disciplined enough on one thing for long enough to gain its full 360-degree circumference of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the archetype and how it actually relates to yourself and mastering yourself. So when we veer and jump from place to place, thing to thing, we're never getting that full understanding, middle standing, overstanding, however you're going to say it to make you feel superior at the end of the day. We never stick to one thing. We jump consistently from thing to thing. And this is a habit I've noticed by many people who claim to be conscious. 1 month they're more. The next month they're a comedic conscious coon. The next month they are a pro-black. The next month they are whatever, a Buddhist. The problem is, if you don't learn consistency and discipline on one path alone, you'll never reap the benefits you're supposed to. So it's important that when you work with archetypes, make sure that you give it the length and the distance of time necessary to gain that benefit. Now, as the vampiric aspect of Apep was the serpent of chaos. Not only chaos, but devouring all life energy, whether you call it prana, chi, sechem, Tao, whatever floats your boat to make you feel lovely. There's this energy that people have. Not just people, but all life has. When you have this energy, you are able to tap in to this energy and Utilize it to fuel yourself. Some of you don't even realize you're a vampire by nature. Some of you have been feeding off of life force since you were your earliest moment of remembering things. But you were, of course, through religion and other aspects, taught that that's wrong, that's not bad, that's bad, that's evil, whatever the case may be. Listen, everything in nature feeds off of everything else. Predator and prey, this is the law of nature. You may not like it because you want to paint a fluffy, beautiful picture of what you want life to be, but that's not nature. Nature has an aspect that is deep and dark, as well as an aspect that may seem light and fluffy. But when you really study nature, nature is not as loving, caring, and forgiving as you think it should be. That is these super hyper spiritual, extreme hippie-minded individuals that want to love everything and don't realize that nature doesn't operate like that. Nature has a destructive force as well as a nourishing force, and either one can be unleashed at any moment in time. Presently, nature has been releasing a super amount of destructive forces, and a lot of that is not because of the conspiracy theories or the Heart Project. Now, listen, I was into conspiracy theories for 20-some odd years. I know them inside and out. But the real reality is these storms, these diseases are an effect, is a cause and effect from our destructive, chaotic nature that we never learned to deal with as human beings. The fucking world's fucked up because people are fucked up. Nature's fucked up because people are fucked up, and nature feeds off your energy. It's a predator. It's a predator. Nature feeds off of life energy all around it. And if the nature of human beings is destructive, chaotic, dark, disgusting, and they don't deal with that aspect of themselves, then that's what nature is going to unleash on the world. It's not all this conspiracy and the government's controlling this and doing that bullshit. Okay? Sure, I understand they have some weapons and some technology that can affect things, but not to the massive amount of destruction that is occurring now. Unbelievably, no, it's not. They do not have that elevation of power, that next level of power. Cut that shit out because you're giving people energy to feed off you by fear. They create fear in your mind and your hearts and your spirit, and they feed off of this energy, and you give them this illusion of power over you when they can't do a damn thing to you unless you let them. So if you're fucked up, then nature is feeding off of that fucked up shit and unleashing that fucked up shit on society, the world over, because we don't deal with our shit. Left-hand path is not a path to just fucking get money and pussy and whatever else you want. Left-hand path is a path to master yourself and overcome your inconsistencies, your weaknesses, and all of the things that you hide in the dark. Sweep under the rug. Left-hand path goes into that very dark, embraces that darkness, and learns to bring out all of that shit we have buried inside of us and deal with it, control it, master it, and move on to the next issue that you may have, the next problem that you may have. This is gaining control and becoming a master of yourself. It's not making excuses for your failures and blaming anything externally. On the left-hand path, we do not worship anything externally. Cut that shit out if you do. We do not, I'm going to say it again, we do not worship anything externally. There is no God, goddess, archetype, deity, or anything you want to call it that we worship. We exclusively use the archetype because it is a reflection of what we are as far as the attributes, characteristics, energy, or power that you may have that is similar to that archetype. That archetype is a symbol to help activate parts of your subconscious mind that are buried, locked, or laying dormant to bring forth that reality of who you are. We do not worship Kali. Kali is a reminder of that destructive force that is necessary to overcome the bullshit, the obstacles, and the blockages that were self-created or created in the environment or society or culture or religion that you were raised in. We do not worship Kali. It's just a symbol that my subconscious mind activates and says, Kali, I need that destructive force within me to be activated. So the symbols of Kali activate that part of me to destroy the obstacles that were self-created by myself or by the environment and conditioning I was raised under. You cannot continue to make excuses for your weaknesses. In the left-hand path, we take those weaknesses and learn to make them into a strength that can be beneficial for our overall growth. So when I work with Apep, I'm working with that chaotic, devouring force that allows me to go into that chaos of myself, devour the weakness, the weakest part of myself, and develop it into a strength that can help transform me. It is the battle that takes place between the conscious and the subconscious mind. The conscious is the distracted mind by all this bullshit you're in, and the subconscious mind is that which records everything and plays it back when you least expect it and can lead to detrimental things in your life. So when I activate the serpent energy that coils up my body all the way up through the chakras, all the way to the brow chakra, and illuminates me, illumination is intellect on the left-hand path. It is not light, fluffy worship of the light side and all these beautiful things. The black serpent devours the sun's energy to increase its black flame, kundalini rising, absorbing the energies of the chakras and utilizing it to illuminate or activate the intellect that is laying dormant to become a master over myself. That is the purpose of working on the left-hand path. That is why I utilize Apep. Too much of you comedic conscious coons run from these things because you still have a religious mind and look at Apep as a devil. Oh, he's a devil. He's like Satan or Shaitan. Cut that fucking religious bullshit out. On this path, we learn to take the very thing that is considered sinister, wrong, bad, or evil and go into it and can see why it's considered like that, because it is those very things that actually empower you and make you stronger, make you a master over yourself, increases your instincts, increases your gifts and abilities. Not sitting in the fluffy side, externalizing and worshiping some god or goddess or deity that you will never fucking see. And if you see the shit, it's self-created in the mind. And is utilized by your superconscious self because it's an image that you readily are attached to or connected to. So it will utilize that image to send a message to your subconscious mind, bypassing the conscious mind, so that you can do the work necessary to change yourself. Period. So if you want to work with Apep, learn to utilize the symbol of Apep. Learn to utilize the serpent and how to utilize the serpent energy within your body. Learn how to activate that energy within your body. There's many different ways. You can use chants, also known as hikau, words of power, hika, sorcery or magic. You can utilize breathing patterns. You can utilize sex. You can utilize any of these things to activate the power of who and what you are. A black adept on a left-hand path does not fear anything. They confront their fears so that they can be a master and control themselves. And in order to master your fears, you have to go into your fears and you have to find where the source or root of that fear originally began. If you're afraid of the dark, it is the very dark that you need to go into so you learn not to be afraid of it. If you're afraid of certain people or groups because of conditioning or family conditioning or programming, you need to go into that very aspect to utilize it and understand it.